meeting's called to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Davis, would you please lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a moment of silence for, again, for those in Great Britain, but throughout the world who are victims of any form of terrorism or civil distress. Thank you. Might we add to our contemplation all the police officers and first responders who aid and protect our citizenry all the time. Thank you. Sunshine Law. Adequate notice of this meeting has adequate notice of public hearing. Adequate notice of this public meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in the Borough Hall, by emailing to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submissions to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule including the date and time of this meeting. I would like to remind all members of the public that we have 3 fire exits in our council chamber, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. In addition, we are being recorded by both audio and video for purpose of creating a record during the public portion of the meeting. If any member of the public wishes to be recorded or to be heard, they need only identify themselves by stating their full name and address for the record, and they may make a statement or ask a question that they would like. So our first order of business is the oath of office for Sergeant Michael McGinty. We invite Sergeant McGinty and his family to come forward. Sergeant, do you have a 502 of your own? No? Then we will use this one. This is great. Thanks. Sergeant, you can come forward that way, and that's our camera, so we'd like for your family to be around you, and I don't need to be seen. Chief, do you want to come up this one and join me? All right. So Sergeant McGinty has just been raised to the rank of sergeant. He will be our administrative sergeant, correct? And no, he's not. Charles Sergeant. Okay. All right. And so he's taking his position, correct? That's how it's working? Excellent. I'm sorry. All right. Please repeat after me. I, Michael McGinty.
I, Michael McGinty.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
The Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And that I. Will bear true faith and allegiance.
Will bear true faith and allegiance.
To the same.
To the same.
And to the government established in the United States.
And to the government established in the United States.
And in this state.
And in this state.
Under the authority of the people.
Under the authority of the people.
I, Michael McGinty.
I, Michael McGinty.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully.
That I will faithfully.
Impartially.
Impartially.
And justly.
And justly.
Perform all the duties.
Perform all the duties.
As sergeant.
As sergeant.
In the River Ridge Police Department.
In the River Ridge Police Department.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Sergeant. So we'll give Sergeant McGinty just a moment before we bring his family out to take a picture with the seal in the background so that it doesn't have to stay until the end of the meeting to have that opportunity.
move it.
Hey, son.
I have my professional photographer. Thank you.
You're welcome. So just for the record, for the public who is watching this council meeting on YouTube, my name is Council President Thomas Papaleo. Mayor Mignon is absent. It is his birthday and it is graduation, and so are other council members absent due to wonderful family events, and we do understand that. Open public hearing, open space, recreation, floor plan, protection, farmland, historical preservation, trust. Can I have a motion to open to the public for said item?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is now open for open space recreation, floodplain protection, farmland, and historic preservation trust.
If there are no comments, Mr. Council President, I'd ask that Bobby Conway and the Recreation Commission be given the opportunity just to say a few words about the application. If there's any open questions.
Would you come forward, please? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have Carlo Negozio, our commissioner member, here today, and thank you for your time. I did leave on the dais a summary of this actual project, and we have been before the mayor and council previously, and requested and got received approval of the declaration of intent to request the funding from Bergen County Open Space. And at that time, we referenced these projects that are listed, as you can see, and also a description of the project, as you can see on this list, and also the total project cost of $110,780, and the grant fund requested is $55,390. We did receive an email from Bob tomorrow, which did confirm our declaration, did confirm that the project is eligible, and that there are funds available sufficient to accommodate the project. The application is due on June 30th. So we are here tonight to request approval in this public hearing for the application of the project at the amount of $55,390,000 for the grant. With the understanding that the Mayor and Council does know that this is a matching grant and that the match would be $55,390. In our 2015 Riverhead Open Space, we do have an amount of $21,068.93 that has been allocated to a repair of one of the courts and also for maintenance. It is a balance that has not been allocated to any other project, or is in need of any other project. So it is suggested that we use that amount before the match, leaving a balance of $34,321.07 for the allocated funds, depending on what the Mayor and Council wants to do. That could be unallocated open space in 2018, which is apparently is, or the 2018 budget, or the 2018 open space. So we just wanted to acknowledge that there is that outstanding budget that is required for the match. And that's where we stand with this application.
Before we open up the questions from the council, if our business administrator and CFO, Ellen, could you speak to the $34,321.00 from a budget perspective?
Well, we do have, from the 2017 municipal open space, we have a remaining balance that's unallocated of $23,000 roughly. So you could put that towards it. In 2018, it should certainly be an operating expense, but I wouldn't recommend that. But it could also be a capital, the remaining $10,000 could be a capital expense also. It could be a capital ordinance. You would only need a 5% down payment on that $10,000 to make that work. So,
Do you have a recommendation, which of the three options that you think the council should consider more strongly than any other?
I would use the 2017 municipal open space and any other unallocated monies from prior years first, and then do a capital ordinance for the balance of the funds if necessary.
All right, so we open this up to the council. Does the council have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. We thank you for coming forth. I think we need to close this to the public before we proceed.
Just close it.
Okay, before we do that, does anyone from the public wish to make a comment or ask a question of the Rec Commission? Seeing none, we thank the Rec Commission for attending, and I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we need to consider this, no, we'll wait to discuss this. Why don't we go Borough Administrator's topics? One, reappropriation ordinances to the community center. Ellen, if you could speak to that, we appreciate it.
Thank you. If I may, the council has in front of them a memorandum dated January 7th, 2016, which had listed certain funding sources for the community center. Now, at the bottom of that page, we had listed back then ordinances 1656, 1763, 1804, 1806, and 1829 that had available balances totaling $707,000. The current available balances on these ordinances is $683,250.31. I'm recommending tonight that if you're still inclined to reappropriate these ordinances, which have available funds, which have projects that are stalemated or closed out, that we reappropriate $659,000 from these old ordinances to the community center purpose. On the right-hand side, I listed some of the projects that make up these ordinances. The first one was Hackensack Avenue. It was a widening of Hackensack Avenue that hasn't moved forward in maybe 15 years. So I would use those funds for the community center at this time. A DPW tree truck has already been purchased. We had $11,000 left over from that, so that's available. The Department of Public Works roof and the HVAC for the library, as well as the library roof. The DPW has postponed any work on the roof. The library roof has been completed, and the HVAC work is to be considered as part of the community center project. And then finally, on ordinance 1806, we have curb cuts, municipal parking lot, and again, the HVAC for the library. We are holding back about $20,000 out of that ordinance for any needs with regard to the HVAC for the library. But the rest of the money would be free. So that would be $659,000 that you could put towards the project, but I would need direction from you to do that. I would contact bond counsel, and we would make up the appropriate ordinance for introduction at a future meeting.
Okay, open to council. Would any council person like to ask a question, make a comment?
I'm just so thrilled we're at this point where we're going to actually put money towards this.
What was the, how much did we put in the budget this year, Alan? Do you remember? Was it 400 or 500,000?
I think it was $500,000.
500,000. I would make the motion to list an ordinance. Well, one, we have to go out to bond council. Do we have to go to bond council first, or the ordinance?
I would go to, bond counsel will draft the ordinance
Okay.
for me.
That would be my recommendation, that bond council draft an ordinance reappropriating the sum of $659,000 from the various ordinances set forth here, 1656, 1763, 1804, 1806, and 1829.
1829 only had $81 left, so I left that out.
All right, then forget about 1820.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate? All in favor?
Aye.
All-
Do you need a-
It's approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Request to establish a change fund in the Borough Clerk's office not to exceed $50. Oh, if you could speak.
Currently, we have 3 change funds, one in the Health Department, one in Finance, and one in the court. This is a request that came from the Borough Clerk's office to have a $50 change fund in their office, so they can make change for garage permits and garage sale permits and other types of fees and permits that they do collect at the counter. They are required to return the money at the end of the year, and then we reopen it each year to ensure that there's no missing funds.
So it's not a petty cash?
No,
It's
it's not.
simply to make change?
To make change, correct.
Okay. Council, does council wish to ask questions or make comments? Can I have a motion to fulfill the request or approve the request? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstain? All right,
And you will put that resolution on the next meeting.
Repair of concrete apron at KGB Park.
Thank you. If I may, I sent a memo to the mayor and council dated May 26, 2017. As part of the KBG lighting improvement project, we had an apron that was that had to be deconstructed. The apron has been used as an entrance point for our ramp that goes up to the concession stand at KBG Park. It's priority to reconstruct that so that we have proper access. We do have $10,000 available out of Ordinance 1710, which was meant to be a pilot project for sidewalk repair. The ordinance language is general enough, public buildings and grounds, improvement of public buildings and grounds, but I feel we could charge this driveway apron to that ordinance. We have a couple of quotations in the range of about $6,000. I would ask the borough engineer to check to make sure that cost estimate is adequate to do this. It would still leave us $4,000 to do this pilot project if we wanted to try different ways to cure the sidewalk slabs from raising up. The other options would be the operating budget, public buildings and grounds, but John Lynch is using that this year, and I don't think he has room for it. And then we have another ordinance, 1806, that was at $20,000 that we were reserving for the HVAC for the library. So I really wouldn't go after that money at this point in time. I think our only option is this $10,000 ordinance 17-10.
Okay, comments or questions from the council? I would look for a motion to approve this request from the administrator based on, taken from Ordinance 1710, I think it is.
Correct.
So I'd like a motion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions?
Thank you.
All right, for discussion, a report on the River Edge Car Show. I think, Alan, the chief is here for that?
Yes, we have Chief Brady here to
Chief,
speak to.
we welcome you.
part of that.
If you could speak to that, that'd be great.
Good evening.
Evening, Chief.
The Cultural Center submitted an application for the car show. Made a few requests this year that were never made previously. One, they wanted to close Elm Avenue south of Continental Avenue in order to have extra space for overflow parking from the library. And additionally, they wanted to park cars on the lawn. Now that request has come up in the past. There have been some issues in prior years about being able to park on lawns, et cetera. So just based on current ordinance and the way that area is zoned as residential one. The parking on the grass was denied, and the closure of Elm Avenue, south of Continental was denied as well. And Peter Dunside, on behalf of the Cultural Center, came up to council. He also called headquarters. All of these items were explained to him why there was denial. I told him that if the code official didn't have any problem with it on the lawn with the mayor or council, I had no objection to that. However, as I discussed previously with the mayor, the issue of closing Elm Avenue was a safety concern. The car show has been growing every year. We've asked Mr. Dunsey to make take certain steps to cap the number of vehicles there so they could fit. We've encountered problems, and I've been fortunate officers working the details through the patrol commander for each of the last 3 years concerning problems with both parking at the location in the library, traffic concerns that officers have to address, and traffic being backed up from Elm Avenue and Continental all the way back to Kinderconnect Road as vehicles are stacking to get into the car show area. And Mr. Dunsey has repeatedly stated he can't do anything to cap the number of cars because cars come and go, and that's the nature of the car show. We've asked about looking for different venues for it, either still in River Edge or in the immediate area. He's declined to do that, stating that the park-like environment is what makes this car show special. So we've tried on many occasions to accommodate this. We previously stated to the council that there was only one driveway that was going to be affected on Elm Avenue south of Continental. That's in fact not the case. There's two homes there, 706 and 708 Elm Avenue, who would have their driveways blocked as a result of this. But the more overriding concern is our traffic detour route. We do for an event as big as River Edge Day. We only close that area from Continental and Elm up to Continental and Fifth. And we have a set detour route that we've used for decades now. Anytime we try to deviate from the route, there was just a greater impact on not only traffic and pedestrian concerns, but on the residents that live there. There really is no other safe alternative than to use Elm Avenue as a detour route for east and westbound traffic on Continental. Traffic going eastbound is detoured around Fifth to Adams as far as Elm, and then back to Elm Avenue and Continental. It points east to the same thing in reverse, going westbound. So this, again, has been explained to Mr. Dunsey on repeated occasions. I just wanted to come tonight and report to the council that we had no intention of changing our position on the detour, but I'll notify him tomorrow if we park the vehicles on the grass at the cultural center itself, if he decides to park in the park.
All right, is anyone on council that would like to ask a question, make a comment?
I have no objection to the parking on the grass. I mean, usually I think it's one of the fire trucks from, not ours, I think it's another town's antique fire truck is usually there on that corner. I mean, it's been going on. I don't read the I know the ordinance the chief is referring to. I don't know that it was intended for that, you know, it's for residents parking on their lawn as opposed to other, you know, something like this. So I have no concerns with that. Particularly, it's the cultural center's lawn. So
which patch of grass are we talking about?
Just on the cultural center, in the past they had sort of these areas of the park itself and those caused problems. This time they're only looking for the lawn, I guess, in the easement section between the potentially between the sidewalk and the street, and also on the grass itself, which is going to be just south of the sidewalk on the Continental.
So we're talking like 2 or 3 cars, is that?
I think he indicated up to 4 vehicles. And again, I really don't have a concern with that.
How much of Elm is getting closed?
He wants to close it between Continental and Adams, which would cause us to then detour traffic all the way down Adams Avenue, causing no parking zone for all the residents on either the north or south side of Adams Avenue, all the way down to Boulder Road. And that's why we don't do that. We use the shortest block available between Continental and Boulder Road as the detour them back along Adams. And they can go all the way down Adams Avenue back to Boulder. You're detouring people that may otherwise want to get as far as Continental to get to Oak or to get to the north side of Elm.
And just for the record, for the public, our zoning officer has sent council a letter saying that he does not object, and I think the chief was referring to that in his statement. So I concur with Councilman Bartoloni. I think the council as general is in agreement that we would not object, and we appreciate the chief allowing the cultural center using their property, essentially their property. And we do understand the chief's concern about safety, and we support the chief in that concern. So if I could have a motion to accept parking on the borough property, but not the closing of Elm, as the chief has stated.
So moved.
Second.
Separate or?
No, we can do them together. All in favor? Thank you, Chief. We really appreciate you working with the Cultural Center and everything you do for the council.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right. For discussion, modifying, I guess this is Resolution 17109 for batting cage.
Ellen, who would be speaking? Well, I'll start with it, but then I'd like to ask Councilman Bartoloni to speak to it. He's much more well-versed in this than I am. But this resolution was passed by the mayor and council as part of your open space review, and it provided money to the Recreation Commission in the total amount of $79,551 for a variety of purposes, one of which was a shed to be located on Board of Education property, and we had $10,000 for that. I was informed that in addition to the shed, that a batting cage was also being contemplated, and if the mayor and council would like to reallocate some of that shed money, $10,000, towards the batting cage, that would be fine. You would just have to authorize me to place before you a resolution to modify the plan by the Recreation Commission to include that. But with that, I ask that Councilman Bartoloni be given the opportunity to talk about the need for this.
Sure. Basically, as Alan stated, we had appropriated $10,000 out of the open space money for the building of a shed at Roosevelt Field. Through various discussions between subcommittee, the mayor, and members of the Board of Education, the size and scope of that shed has been scaled back from what was originally proposed. So the cost of that shed has decreased dramatically. At the same time, there was also discussion of having a batting cage placed on Roosevelt Field. And in discussions with the superintendent, the new chief of grounds, or the head of grounds for the River Edge School District, what they're proposing is a significant, basically a structure, really, as opposed to just a wire or mesh batting cage. They want a permanent structure that includes some type of asphalt base. They want the netting enclosed within a chain link fence, so that their concerns were students having access to it during the day, and also maintenance in terms of trimming and mowing the grass. So they're proposing a significant structure. The cost of that from various towns that we've looked into is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $15,000 because of the fencing and the asphalt and everything, versus what really a batting cage in and of itself is a couple $1,000 just for the netting. So the thought was to reappropriate money from the shed, which is not going to cost anywhere near $10,000, and use that towards this. Really, it's a permanent structure on for batting cage.
Excuse me, but could I ask which field is this going on?
Roosevelt.
On Roosevelt School. Now, is there anything where only certain people can use that? I know there's a lot of question about who gets to use the field and who doesn't. that only for the smaller fields?
The field?
Yeah,
No, the field, Roosevelt Field gets used from K through 8th grade.
take to it,
Yeah.
nobody else.
I mean, it's used by Blackhawks soccer in the
And
fall.
soccer, okay.
And they would have access to the shed. The batting cage itself would be pretty much for the use of
Just for
Regal.
K through it.
Yeah, K through 8 program. Little League has a similar
That's what I thought.
structure.
Alan?
I did take the liberty of drafting a shared service agreement, which I have distributed to the school, the borough attorney, mayor and council. So I am guilty of practicing without a license, but I thought it would save some time and money. So that's out there as a discussion draft. But I also sent it to the Recreation Commission, and I feel that they deserve the opportunity to be heard on this as well. So if you do approve the modification of the money, give me the amounts, and they would always have the opportunity to come back to another meeting and discuss this with you.
I'm a little confused. Has Regal been a part of this discussion for the batting cage and for the reduction in the shed?
They're not at the table, but I mean, I've discussed it with them.
With their leadership in
Yeah.
general?
Mhm.
And what is their position? Are they in support of this?
Yeah, in fact, they know they would have to contribute funds to the batting cage project because the available monies wouldn't cover it, and they're seem receptive to them.
And just so I understood this correctly, it's the Board of Education who's requesting that we build the more expensive batting cage,
Yes,
by far.
yeah, it was their request. It was not what was originally proposed by, or thought of by Regal.
Right.
Originally, they were just looking to put up the netting, but the Board of Education, in particular, their new head of grounds, wanted this structure because he felt as though it would be, if he just had netting, it would be an impediment to their maintenance. They were concerned with how to mow around it, if they had to lift up the netting to get the lawnmower in there or whatever, and they were worried that kids would go in there. So they wanted something that was lockable so that students could not get in.
So we're going from a $2,000 or thereabouts
Yeah.
structure to a $15,000 structure. Has the Board of Education indicated whether they would be putting any money towards a $13,000 increase dollar structure?
No, I don't believe they would be putting any money towards it. It would be a borough-owned.
Well, it's really on their property.
It is, but that's why we have the shared service agreement. It would be borough-owned.
It would be borough-owned, but it would be on their property, and
Yeah.
we can't pick it up and move it.
Understand. It's,
There is precedent for that. We constructed a bathroom adjacent to the Roosevelt building so that our athletic leagues could access that bathroom without having to go into the building itself.
yeah, and the students don't have access to them. It's just for athletic activities. It's not for the school. And this batting cage would not be used by the students at either school.
The one at Memorial, if you know, does it have the fencing and the asphalt?
It doesn't. I don't know about the asphalt. It doesn't have the fencing, no.
Have we faced whatever problems the Board of Education and the advisory committee has
Foreseen with the boys structure at Memorial that we're now spending so much more money to make a girls structure?
I don't believe so. No, and there's a batting cage that's down at KVG, which my understanding is they just lift the nets up when they lower.
Is this request coming from a full vote of the Board of Education, or is this coming from the superintendent and the board president, or is this simply coming from a committee of the Board of Education?
It came to me, I don't know if they had a full vote or not. It came to me through a meeting with Mr. Hensel, the superintendent, and I apologize, I forget his name, I believe it
his first name is Stewart, but I forget his name when you had it Brown, so I forget the gentleman's last name.
So no actual member of the Board of Education.
No, they were not there. We do have a meeting, another committee meeting with them on June 29th to go over it again, but that's,
Because I'm a tad bit disappointed that we're being asked to spend $12,000 more, because, and the board is not even asked to chip in. The board may or may not be aware of it as a whole, and it's not an invincible problem that the superintendent has claimed that we need to spend another $12,000. It sounds more like a convenience problem. Superintendent does not, he says it's a safety issue, but we have a structure down in KGB that doesn't seem to have, Ellen, is there any knowledge of any insurance claims ever being made against our batting cage at KGB?
Not to my knowledge.
So another $12,000 because the superintendent doesn't want to cut the grass is what I guess I'm hearing. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm characterizing it incorrectly.
I think they don't want the maintenance issue. They characterize it as a safety issue for the students.
Well, of course.
And
But anything can be characterized as a safety issue.
yeah, I'm just,
I know you're
don't
you're
kill
just
the messenger.
You're just a messenger. I just, for the record, and this has not come through a written request. It's come through a verbal
It was
request.
a verbal request, yeah.
And so the superintendent of River Edge Board Schools and the superintendent of their fields have asked this council to spend $12,000. They haven't brought it before the Board of Education. They haven't made
Well,
a
I don't
formal
know that
request.
they did or they didn't.
Well, we have
I
no
don't-
knowledge that they've done that.
Yeah, I can't represent, though, that they did or didn't bring it before.
I think our girls deserve everything they should get, but I don't believe this is the process by which we should get it, because I think if the board wants to spend extra $12,000, then I think, we need to have a formal letter from them. I think they should also incur some of the costs, since even though it will be ours, it's really on their property, and we can't pick it up and move it. I absolutely think we should do this, but I don't think we should do it tonight. I think a process needs to be put in place, a process that's equitable to the taxpayers of River Edge, and that will give the girls what they need, and that we know that the Board of Education, we can say with confidence, that the Board of Education is asking us to do.
Well, like I said, we have a meeting with them again on the 29th, where we will be discussing,
By them, you mean
The whole
Board of
thing.
Education or these three individuals?
No, we have a meeting on the 29th involving me, the mayor, Councilwoman Bustede, Superintendent Ben Dove, Jimmy Teehan, Bobby Conway, Paris Myers, the president of the Board of Education, will all be in attendance. So
Is that meeting just about this, or is that a normal meeting?
it's primarily about that. It's also about getting the fields reseeded and resized at Cherry Hill, and they have some ongoing issues with parking that they want to discuss in and around the school.
If Regal's going to be asked to pay for part of this, shouldn't they be part of this meeting as well?
Again, I guess they're being represented through the rec commission.
Yeah, but the rec commission's not paying for part of it, right? It's not coming out of their budget, it's Regal.
Yeah.
And they
Well-
should have a voice. We're not, why don't they have a voice? I mean,
The rec commission would probably be responsible for the maintenance side.
They would.
I'm not saying that the rec commission shouldn't be part of it.
No,
They absolutely should be part of it, don't
Regal's
misunderstand me.
asked to put money in.
But if Regal's paying for it, I think that they should be invited to the table so that they can at least listen to what's going on, voice whatever concerns they have. If this is a Regal batting cage that is being put up, then I guess the people who run Regal should be listened to.
Well, I think what will ultimately happen is that the borough may pay for the structure, but Regal would pay for the netting that goes inside the structure. So to that extent, it's it's the same either way for Regal's perspective.
Right, but I guess my concern is just that
The benefit of this project is for the Regal organization. I'm a big supporter of Regal, and I want this to move forward. I'm a little nervous about shelving it for any amount of time because it's going to kick everything back, and Regal, I know, has been wanting something there for a long time.
Yes.
But I just want to make sure that they are being kept in the loop about all this, especially if they're going to contribute what is a significant amount of money. You said it's a couple thousand, and it's a small organization for the girls' sport.
Well, the only thing I can tell you is that I do regularly speak with Ken Groudhon, the president of Regal, and keep him abreast as to any developments.
So if we, Alan, question to you, if we vote yes to this, to modifying Resolution 17109, that doesn't actually modify it, that just gives you the ability to move forward with the resolution, or are we actually modifying it tonight? Is it?
You're not doing it tonight. There is no resolution listed.
No, I didn't think so.
I would present the resolution which would allocate some of that money from the shed, which I consider to be maintenance, because it's going to be used for maintenance tools and equipment, to what they call development of lands for this batting cage, and we would segregate that amount of money out under the development of lands. This is terminology that the state of New Jersey uses to classify open space money, maintenance of lands, development of lands.
I think before we, you have an opportunity to vote on any modified resolution, whether to adopt or not, we would already have met with the Board of Ed, and maybe be able to address some of the issues. I mean, at the end of the day, the problem is, as much as you would like them to say, sure, we'll chip in, it's not going to happen. Most likely.
It's not going to happen if we don't ask.
Well,
And
I don't think it's going to.
We plow their driveways, and they don't have to have a plow, they don't have to pay a maintenance man every winter storm, regardless of the amount. The borough is already contributing to their budget, but without recognition. I think it's not too much to ask. If they say no, they say no, but since I won't be there, I'm not one of the members of the council that attend. You and the mayor do. I think that should at least be a request, and I think it should be brought to the Board of Education as a whole. And I have no problems voting yes to this discussion item, if that at least would be done.
But we didn't even get a formal.
We didn't get a formal request.
Yeah, that's-
So all we're doing is giving Alan the ability to move forward with the paperwork. Alan's already...
Simply modifying the prior resolution for development of land as opposed to maintenance.
And we're not voting on that. We're just giving Alan
We
the
haven't even
ability
got a
to move
formal
forward to...
request for this.
But I would expect a formal request from the BOE. I would expect a formal request to include whether or not they wish to contribute to this additional $12,000 cost. I would expect, as Councilman Kenigo mentioned, that Regal be at the table and represented. And I think these are reasonable requests and a process that is transparent. I don't think, I want to make it clear, I think what Councilman Bartoloni has done tonight is a good thing. He's brought to us a way of improving our field for our girls' athletic leagues. I think that is a priority of this council. I think it's a great thing. But, I'm not comfortable with the process. I'm assuming that all this will take place prior to us considering the resolution, and that's what I'm bringing before the council as a council member, even though I'm sitting in the mayor's seat today.
Well, as I said, we have a meeting scheduled for the 29th. I'm certainly happy to ask them to contribute to the structure and await their response. And I'm happy to do that. And hopefully I can answer any additional questions before the next time we meet.
That'd be great. And could you also, this is a personal request, I don't know if there's consensus here, would you also please convey to them that the batting cage at KGB has had no claims against it, no known injuries. So even though it's important that we be as safe as possible, there does not seem to be grounds to suggest that a normal batting cage would be unsafe.
I will absolutely convey that. Again, they operate out of an overabundance of caution. So, I mean, that seems, that's how they seem to operate. But I will, bring that to them, so.
Just a clarification. We have 10,000 set aside. Now the shed is going to be how much?
The shed has to be priced, but I mean, just my, unscientific search, it's probably about 3,000 for.
We're just
for the
talking
shed.
about like one of those corrugated metal.
No,
sheds,
it'd most
right?
likely be like vinyl. I don't know if you've seen the ones that are the middle school, that they have alongside the basketball courts near the soccer.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
probably something like that, very easy to maintain, not metal, so there's no rusting issues, no, sharp edges, anything like that. It'd be probably vinyl. The original size that was discussed was significantly bigger. I think the ultimate number that the Board of Ed was willing to consider was a 10 by 15 shed versus, I think the original one was something like 24 by 12 or something like that. So the size of it has come down, and obviously then the concrete pad that it would go on has been scaled down as well. So that's where the cost is shrunk considerably.
And that's, the shed's also going to go in the same location as the batting cage, which I am Continental, right?
The batting cage would go along, what we discussed was putting the batting cage along Continental, right behind where you have the pen there for the garbage, along that line there. And then the shed would go on the other side. The shed would go on the other side there. Originally, the Board of Ed was asking for the batting cage to be in the area alongside near the residences. One, that ground is significantly unlevel, which would add to the excavation cost. Two, I think there may be a water or drainage line in that area. And three, there's concerns about the noise with the residents. Metal bats and balls make a very distinctive pinging sound. So if you could avoid that, and I thought Continental, there's traffic and, so that, and it's level, and it's unused.
That makes sense.
Area, so.
I think this
Yeah.
is.
You, as a coach, I don't want to put you on
Yeah.
the seat here, but you, as a coach.
Mary, you just got to put your mic closer. We've had some.
You know what, I'm so.
My coach hat?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, put your coach hat on.
It's in the car, but go ahead.
What's your feeling on this expensive batting cage as opposed to, I don't want to put you on the hot seat.
Yeah, no,
However, if it's something that, I feel like it's not good enough to have this just because of mowing the lawn or.
As a coach, I think if you can restrict access to, especially something that maybe Regal would, be theirs that they're buying, would be all the better. So that you don't have kids going in there and, damaging it or, whatever. I think that's more the concern, is having students go in and damage the facility. So, to that extent, I think that's a good idea. Does it matter to performance? No, I mean, not at all. It's, as long as the netting's there, that's really all you need. And again, this is a net inside of a cage. The cage is just for keeping people out, essentially. So it doesn't have an effect on a performance perspective. I mean, I have seen them at other places, other fields that I've gone to, so it's not abnormal. They are fairly common to have that type of facility. And Regal did seem happy about that, actually, to have.
Being able to keep it locked.
To keep it locked, yeah, they were, seemed to be on board with that type of situation.
So, if I could ask for a motion to consider the modification of 17109 with the understanding that there are several process elements that we would be looking for before we did the final vote, and certainly a justification in writing from the Board of Education and a request from the Board of Education for us spending this extra amount, and hopefully since they're asking us to spend another $12,000 to $13,000, that they would consider chipping in. But if they don't, that's okay too. We want to do well by our girls, but I think we should ask.
Well, I'd make, go ahead, you can make the motion.
I was gonna make the motion, but you can.
No, go ahead.
So move.
And I'll second it. It's actually not spending any more really than we already appropriated. I mean, obviously the shed's coming in cheaper, and there might have been a savings there. But anything above that 10,000, we haven't encumbered any funds or put any funds aside for that. So we wouldn't really be spending any additional money over that
Right.
initial 10,000.
But at some point, we're gonna have to come up with that money if the Board of Ed does not, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the cost comes in. I mean, there's some ways that we might be able to, when we have road paving done, perhaps we can, get some paving done and an asphalt base put in at the same time. So there could be a cost savings there as well, and, I don't know about the fencing, and, so there might be ways to try and save some money in getting it done.
Always good.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, great. Resolution, item number 3 for discussion, resolution to support legislative action to reauthorize and extend the NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program. Owen, would you speak to that?
League of Municipalities is asking for us to consider a resolution of support. The flood insurance program is set to expire September 30th. States along the East Coast have more exposure to storms and flooding than many of the states in the central part of the country. So I think there's an effort to have this type of insurance to facilitate the ability of people to get back into their homes or take care of damage thereafter. So I don't see a downside to this, to asking the council to support the program.
Okay, comments, questions?
Well, I absolutely support it. As a realtor, we go to DC every year to fight for this, to get the extension
I think it's
to
worth it,
homeowners.
too.
Absolutely. We've gotten ravaged in the past.
Yeah.
Sandy just destroyed the state, and we've sent a lot of money to Washington and to other states who have taken advantage over the years, and we need the help when we need the help, and this state deserves it, and we deserve it.
Our homeowners,
Absolutely.
yep.
This is important.
Okay, could I have a motion to support resolution to support legislative action to reauthorize and extend the NFIP?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, great. So that finishes our for discussion, our borough administration. Now we have our work session agenda. We have several items. I'm going to read them off. If the council would like to comment or question on any of them, we will have an opportunity to do that, and then we will see if we wish to have to approve it. Adopt an updated stormwater pollution plan for the Borough of River Edge. Approval of the 2017 Clean Communities budget. Approval for the Chief Financial Officer, Allen, to proceed with the $4,900,000 bond sale. Approve the purchase of ADA assisted listening devices and 2-A static microphones in the amount of $1,900 from the ordinance 17-11. Approve request for Recreation Commission to place July 4th banner at the at 140 Kinderkamack Road from June 22nd through July 4th. So is there any question or comment from the council?
Yeah, just pull number 3.
Pulling number 3. Anything else? Okay, so could I have a motion by consent to approve 1, 2, 4, and 5?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Councilman Barloni, would you like to address your concern for number 3?
Yeah, I just had a question. I just wanted to make sure that that 4.9 million in the bond sale doesn't include any capital ordinances for the, what is it, the safe streets or the,
Transportation.
Yeah, the
TAP grant?
transportation, yeah.
No, those two ordinances or projects are not included. We haven't started really those projects, so it'll be some time before we provide financing for them.
Okay. And just so everybody knows why I was asking, if you know, I just wanted to make sure that it didn't include monies that we may potentially get back in grants, because if and when we do get the money, then that goes to surplus. It doesn't go to paying off the debt. So that's why I was asking those questions.
No, that's excellent. Would you like to make that motion for number 3, to approve for the Chief Financial Officer to proceed with $4.9 million bond sale?
I'll make that motion.
And we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? All right. So now we are at ordinance number 2.
Excuse me, we need the rest of the consent agenda?
We already did it.
Oh, we did that?
Yep, we did that prior. It's okay. Ordinance, second reading, ordinance 1718. Madam Deputy Clerk.
Ordinance 1718, an ordinance appropriating $12,000 from the general capital fund balance for the acquisition of new information technology and communication equipment consistent with computer equipment and its installation for the use of various borough departments, offices, and agencies.
Okay, so this is an acquisition and installation of new technology, communication, and computer equipment for various borough departments and agencies. Can I have a motion to open for a public hearing on ordinance 17-18?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? No. So now we are open to the public. Would any member of the public wish to comment or ask a question in regard specifically to ordinance 17-18? Seeing none approach, can I have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 17-18?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 17-18?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Deputy Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Councilman Bordelon?
Yes.
Councilman Fiedel?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
Councilman Haveloy?
Yes. Okay, so that passes. We have unfinished business. We have nothing for your information. We have unfinished business on the agenda. Borough of River Edge Senior Community Center and Shade Tree Commission. Does any member of council wish to address these items? I don't think so. They're in process.
Right.
Does any member of council have any other unfinished business that they would like to raise? Seeing none, does any member of council have new business they wish to raise? Okay, seeing none, we now move to resolutions by consent, 17-226 through 17-237, and then 17-239. Does any member of council wish to pull out or for separate discussion or vote any resolution I've now mentioned? You need a moment now? You good?
No.
Okay, good. All right, so could I have a motion to approve 17-226 through 17-237, and then skipping to 17-239?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay, would we, our finance chief, chairman rather, would move 17-238, payment of bills.
Thank you. Whereas vouchers for the payments of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $256,620.51. Capital account, $22,214.48. Recreation account, $2,363.97. Animal welfare account, $6,015.60. Trust other account, $74,390.86. Open space account, $10,366.94. Trust other developers account, $6,545. So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Could I have before we do this, I have to apologize. I did not welcome our substitute attorney, Anthony Bacci Esquire, who also is the borough attorney for Little Ferry and substituting for our borough attorney, Tom Sarlo, whose daughter had a very, very great opportunity to go to a college for them to review her skills, and I hope things go well at that event. So, Anthony, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. Okay, could I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, sorry about my phone.
We are very excited to open it up to the public.
All those in favor, I think we've responded to that. Okay, so any member of the public who would like to ask or make a comment on anything that might come before the council or is before the council may do so at this time. Mr. Dunsey, I think you want to come forward, say your name and your address, and we would be glad to hear you.
Peter Dunsey, 446 Oak Avenue, representing the cultural center in regard to the car show. I found out that the meeting was tonight. I actually thought it was last night. And I didn't get a formal notice that it was going to be tonight. And I found out inadvertently that it was tonight before the meeting. So I tidied up a few things because we're doing Dimes Donate tonight with the Lions. And I see on the agenda that you discussed the matter apparently just before I got here.
Literally seconds.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Would you like for us to tell you what was, convey you what was discussed?
I appreciate that.
Sure. Any member of council, please correct me or assist me. So the chief came before us. The chief had no objection if the zoning officer had no objection. The zoning officer had sent to the council earlier this week a letter that he had no objection to having cars on the grass around the cultural center. The council concurred with the zoning officer and supported that idea, and the chief will be sending you a letter telling you that you may park on the grass. The chief then presented for about 5 minutes or so the safety hazards of closing Elm, and it had to do with redirecting traffic and how that would and how traffic would move. And in fact, he had said that we have a history of detour route, we have a history of changing the detour route slightly on occasion, and the issues that occur with it. He also stated that he had informal conversations with the officers that were detailed over the years, and that it was his opinion that this would be a major issue, and he was not inclined to approve this, though he did review it. I did talk to council. We're not quite sure whether the council, even if we wished to, and we did not wish to, had the authority to override the chief in this regard. So the council agreed with the chief. I know I agreed. I believe, I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, but I believe that they agreed with the chief's assessment about public safety. And so we approved parking, but we did not approve the closing of Elm for the reasons just stated.
I received very quickly the zoning officer's determination in a matter of 2 days. I called up on several occasions every third day since we last met to ask to speak to the chief. He did not return the phone call. It was suggested that I might speak to the lieutenant. I did, and he said that he hadn't been asked anything. In fact, the first he knew that it was under reconsideration was my having a conversation with him.
Board of Education's concerns in regard to the batting cage, where to err on the safety side, it covers a real broad stroke, but it didn't have any detail. And this is the same. We have a plan which we were willing to discuss, but that opportunity wasn't given us because we didn't even have the courtesy of return phone call. And I would respect it to the extent that we don't want to do anything that creates a problem. But I have a lot of difficulty that there was no dialogue. And I'm asking that take place. Terrific. I don't think it's too much to ask. We have investments to decide on what to do. In order to do it, we need to purchase equipment, sound equipment. We need to test it out. We may have to modify it. And we lost 2 weeks in income.
Right, Peter, I just wanted to clarify something. I apologize.
Sure.
Because you asked, I checked with, I believe the next council meeting was July 11th. I wanted to check with our borough administrator before, because of your request. So I apologize for interrupting. Please continue.
Well, our show is July 9th.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I thought it was fair to check with Alan at that moment.
I had left a message that I didn't want to take up the time of mayor and council for my own time to do this over and over. But I'm willing to sit down once and discuss it direct with Chief. In years past, we used to sit with Lieutenant Walker. We had a detailed conversation so everybody knew what was going on. That worked. In the last several years, that hasn't taken place. So little things that are unforeseen by everybody crop up. Not having dialogues is not a good thing.
I'm a little confused, if I may.
Or-
Yeah, because I am.
I'm having trouble following. What is it that you need the dialogue for?
We wanted to talk about the plan that we would like to do and what it involves, and we're having a discussion.
By plan, you mean the parking on Elm?
Well, the parking on Elm, the instituting it, the timing of it, the direction of flow, the cars are being encouraged to go, the dismissal, everything associated with it. The safety more for the areas and how we maintain it, all those factors. There's a detour at Continental and Elm as part of shutting down Continental. So there's a detour there already. There's a detour at Fifth where it's shutting down Continental.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the added item turns out to be the shutting down at Adams and Continental. And we were requesting from 10 o'clock to the end of the show, as opposed to Continental, which is shut down at 7 o'clock. So that at that point in time, we know how the flow of cars go and coming. We received extraordinary feedback this year on shows. There's been a lot of rainy weekends, which means it translates to our benefit that people who haven't had an opportunity to go to shows now will be coming to our show, which are not coming. And we have the support of approximately 30 businesses in River Edge, and it's mutual. We spend money here on items to take care of for the show, the trophies, the crown trophies, and it's not just us, but it's all those businesses in town too that participate and have their name associated with it, and one way or the other receive a mutual benefit as well.
Peter, I don't mean to interrupt you, but because we don't have a council meeting to the 11th, this makes the question a little bit moot. But I thought I heard you say that in years past you sat down with Lieutenant Walker.
Yes.
And I thought I also heard you say that when you called to speak with the chief, they offered for you to be able to speak to Lieutenant Walker.
No. I'm sorry you got that impression. No, I called every third day,
Yes.
starting with the day that I received the zoning ordinance, because I wanted to know what's happening with the closure. And the secretary answered the phone, and there was no, she said, I gave him a message. I gave him a message. I gave him a message. There was no return call, either through the secretary or whatever.
Okay,
There was no dialogue.
but you didn't ask to speak to Lieutenant Walker since you've done that in the past?
Lieutenant Knapsack.
Knappersack. You didn't ask to speak to Lieutenant Knappersack on any of those phone calls?
No, not at the start. And she suggested that when I spoke to Knapsack, he didn't know anything about it.
But he didn't refuse, he did speak to you, right?
No, he spoke to me. He said that the chief hadn't spoken to me about it. He didn't know there was under consideration.
Who would normally start the dialogue in years past?
Normally, the community officer and I would speak to in years past. We would do it like that.
Well, last year, who'd you talk to?
Last year, I spoke with Knapsack.
Okay.
And I was telling, and this year, I made our application in January. He called me beginning of February.
Lieutenant Knappersack?
Yes.
Okay.
And we had a dialogue at that time, and he said that, we received a notice, and then it wasn't until around late April, early May, that we actually got the response to it. And then I came here a couple weeks ago.
And I apologize, but what does that response say?
The response was that we were granted permission to request to shut down Continental, but not to shut down Elm. So I came here for reconsideration, because when I spoke to him about it, he said, well, you can always go to mayor and council. So I came to mayor and council.
It's Lieutenant Knappersack said that.
Lieutenant, yeah.
Okay. So,
And
go ahead, I'm sorry.
who locks down the final details? Like, I mean, it's still, 3 weeks away. So who locks down the final details in terms of closings and, what's the normal procedure for that?
Well, that's what we were talking about. That's in the plan for what to do. The timing, we all know what the plan would be. And the police move the barricades and do that. The actual, it's under their control.
Yeah.
It's just that we're informed, because when we're directing our parking crews, they know we're all connected with walkie-talkie, so everybody's on the same page.
So if your contact is Lieutenant Knappersack and you've been dealing with Lieutenant Knappersack, why did you reach out to the chief if that's not the normal procedure?
Because in this instance, okay, I reached out there with the presumption that they would direct me there, which she eventually did, the secretary. I didn't feel it was appropriate to bypass and go direct to Knappersack.
Because you wanted to appeal the decision on the closure of Elm.
I wanted to get the decision and have it, and ask to have a dialogue with it.
About the closure of Elm?
About-
Okay. So that's why you called the chief? It was basically to ask him to appeal his decision about the closure of Elm?
Right.
There weren't other issues regarding the overall operation of the car show, is that specific issue?
That's what we were asking for the reconsideration on.
And that's why you reached out to the chief?
Right, because he was the one that sent out the notice in the first place.
Okay.
And then, normally when he would delegate it, he would sit and he would talk and go through the detail. And our difficulty is that we're going to have people that are going to come to the show. They're going to be turned away. And that means that next year, they're not going to ball.
Well, unless the show is so successful that they're going to want to get in earlier, because you do ask for pre-registration.
We offer early registration at a discount to
encourage people, it's also indicated to us what's going on. This year is right on track, it's just about the same that we had last year, which was 230 cars, which put us at the absolute maximum. And we surveyed it, we figured out how many cars we could do with diagonal parking along the street. I had a conversation with the fire department, and I told them that this year we're not going to be able to entertain having the fire trucks on the lawn. Of course, I can't give up that much space, quite frankly. What we're trying to do is put on a good show that people enjoy, and it works for everybody. And we're not even having a dialogue, and that's really, I find, objectionable.
Well, I think that's an unfair characterization. First of all, he came to us, and we brought it back to the chief and the zoning. Second of all, you've had a dialogue with Lieutenant Naversack, and you could have continued that, but for reasons you think of propriety, you chose not to. Should the chief have called you back? In my opinion, yes, the chief should have called you back. But that doesn't mean you were denied a hearing. You weren't. You could have talked to Lieutenant Naversack. We've all given you, pretty much all of us have given you our cell phone numbers. I know you have mine. So yes, I think it would have, I wish the chief had spoken to you. But you made a request, it was reviewed by the police department, you had a contact with the police department, they made a decision, you came back to us, we were open to discussing it. So I understand your frustration, and because it's a phenomenal show, and you do a great job. And we're proud of it here. I think we're all very proud of it.
I love it. I go every year.
And we agree with you. The bigger it is, the better it is. But I think there are constraints. At this point, one of our constraints is the show is on the 9th and council meets again on the 11th. The chief has made, I think, a cogent argument. I disagree with your characterization that it was the same claim that the superintendent of the fields of the Board of Education made, that it was public safety. I think it's a very different situation to talk about traffic flow. I am not an expert on traffic flow, neither is anyone on this council, and Mr. Dunsey, neither are you, or anyone that I'm aware of that is on the cultural committee or on the car show committee. And I think that then we have to rely on our experts. I think you are free to reach out to Lieutenant Naversack. I think you are free to call us if no one will speak to you. But I think Lieutenant Naversack is the appropriate person at this time. I think, though, that the chief's decision will probably stand, because I don't think, I did not get the impression he was going to change his mind, because I think he had good reasons based on history, based on a level of expertise that we did not. But I do not think that, with the exception of the chief not getting back to you, or at least directing Lieutenant Naversack to get back to you, though you could have called him on your own, I don't think that you've been shut out. As I said, I wish the chief would have called you back, but we have a process here, and we're really, I think, treating it fairly. If any member of council thinks I'm incorrect on that, I think that, no.
I mean, the car show's a victim of its own success. But
In a small town.
First, yeah, and it's, it's because I know this comes up every year, you push to expand the area, and either the rec commission or somebody else says, hold on. But I guess, there's a area that you have to operate in, and that's the area at this point, I think.
I would imagine that the car show attracts a lot of people from outside, so there's a greater number of people that the police has to deal with in River Edge. They have to take into account, what if something happens, what if something crazy happens, what if somebody gets sick, how are we going to get traffic in and out, the ambulances and so forth, and all these things. When you close even a small section, the chief was concerned about what that would mean for any emergency, detours, procedures and so forth, and that's part of what he spoke to.
And I think I'm probably extrapolating a little bit as to, the things that he didn't tell us, but we have to look at him and say he's the expert in these things, and I don't see him as being an obstructionist saying no simply because she wants to say no. He made arguments to us, and he told us these are the things that I'm considering, and this is the reason why. So I think from what I've seen, at least, it's all seemed very fair, and certainly for me, I appreciate everything you do, and I think the show's terrific. So, on that, I thank you, but I think we have to listen to what our police chief says. That's why we hired him, and that's why we have him here. We have to trust him with these things.
We thank you for the support that Mayor and Council has given us over the years. We thank the numerous businesses that support us over the years. And we support the organizations that work with us, the reserves, police, the fire department. We thank them, and we thank the police department. All this stuff does not need to involve mayor and council, but it would have been appropriate to involve the cultural center in the discussion of what is being done, and probably forestall the need to have the last 20 minutes.
Well, Peter, again, thank you for coming, and I hear what you're saying. I really do. And I think the council does too.
I think we understand your frustration here, and you're correct, so.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public who would like to make a statement, ask a question? All right. Can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does council wish to make any comments at this time? You don't have to, but if you wish to.
I went to
Councilwoman Gates.
SCORE yesterday.
Yes.
And Arlene Faustini, our borough nurse, she did a great job. She had a senior Olympics, Summer Olympics, and she had everybody up throwing beach balls into baskets, throwing hula hoops around cones.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. And then she got lunch. I went down and picked up the lunch at Blimpie's, came back. She had a nice cake for them. And they had very good, they did trivia. And it was great, a great event. She really deserves a little thanks for that. I told her what a great job she did. And today was our farmers market, and we had 3 new vendors in addition to our other vendors. We had Fresh and Fancy from New Milford with plants, Heaven Scent, which is soaps and sprays, and Squeeze, who goes to the swim club. He does them, and does juices and all that. So we're moving along, and no rain today.
Councilman Canigo?
Just very briefly, I see Michelle Carides here. I just want to say thank you for all the work you've done. River Edge is beautiful, and you continue to excel. So I appreciate all the time, and I think we all do.
The orange bows around, you're amazing.
Beautiful.
You are amazing.
Michelle, just for the record, would you like to just quickly speak about the orange bows? Would the council indulge Michelle just to explain the orange bows? Michelle, if you come forward so that you're on YouTube. I know you hate it, but just real quickly, because I think it's good for the public if they're tuning in to know what
that was about.
Yeah. Councilwoman Bastide. Just for the record, that's all. I don't mean to correct you, just so people on YouTube.
She asked me to make those because that Tuesday was recognized gun awareness. So she wanted me to make those, so I made those in the library in Borough Hall, so it would make people recognize gun awareness.
Yeah, it was great. You did a great job, as always.
You're very good.
What did you do? Wait, hold on.
I was at Cherry Blossom Park today, and I noticed a lot of when the kids get out of school, you're not going to believe what they do. They literally, lean over the fence.
Yeah.
Anything on the fence.
Yeah.
And slip.
Okay, so maybe our administrator just informed the school that we are aware of this.
let them know somebody observed it.
Yes.
Thank you. And our police department.
What's It's their fence, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but they're flipping onto our
I know,
property.
but it's their fence, just keep that in mind.
Yes, absolutely.
It's their fence.
Right,
No, actually, we gave it to them and they put it on themselves.
yeah.
The DPW actually put it on.
Did they?
Yes,
DPW.
DPW put it on for them? For them.
For them,
Clearly for them.
for them.
We had purchased it, thinking the fence was ours, well, the mayor had purchased it, and directed the purchase. And then it became, then we realized, the mayor and others realized that, that the fence was not on our property. And then there was a discussion informally amongst the council, and the mayor had a discussion with the board, and, or at least with the superintendent of schools, and it was requested that we donate that to them and that we have the DPW put it on. And that's what occurred, but we did it at their request. Yes,
Yes.
because if it wasn't, it would be down, and a new fence would be up, I think.
Because I was even thinking of maybe going to the principal and saying, do you know that kids are doing this, adults are doing this?
I think that's a great idea.
Adults are actually climbing up the fence where there's stumps on our side,
Yeah.
our side, climbing up the fence and landing on the stumps on the other side.
Our borough administrator is going to, communicate to the superintendent of the public school, River Edge, and to our chief that this is occurring. But I think if a resident would also communicate that, especially an eyewitness, that would go a long way towards them recognizing a possible liability. Would you agree? Would you both agree as lawyers?
I won't agree as a lawyer, but I'll say as a councilman, it concerns me.
Yes, it concerns me.
I didn't want to ask you.
Okay, I agree. No comment on either one.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Lou, just for old time's sake? All right. All right, we're back to, Councilman, can you go, are you coming?
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Barloni, do you have anything you want to
Just one thing, because I didn't get to say it at the last meeting. We had, the third grade class at Roosevelt came up, gave them a tour. They got to see this year the fire department, the police department, and Borough Hall. Gave them a little PowerPoint presentation. I was gonna bring it in tonight, but no, we're missing 3 people, so you could see. But they got to sit up here and they really enjoyed it. And it's the second year I've done it. Hopefully it's something that the council can keep doing for however long, long after I'm not sitting here anymore. Because they do study civics in 3rd grade, and it generally around this time of year ties in with their lessons. So it was fun. I mean, I enjoy it. But hopefully it's something we can keep going.
So one of the pluses and minuses of going last is everyone's pretty much covered everything, so I concur. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. See you on July 11th. Anthony, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Good luck.